So imagine a major entertainment platform today, right? Like one of the giant streaming services.
Oh, sure.
And imagine them suddenly just completely preempting their weekend blockbuster slot, like the prime real estate on their app.
Right, the spot they usually save for, like, the $100 million sci-fi epics.
Exactly. Or, those gritty true crime thrillers everyone binges.
Yeah.
Now imagine they clear that premium space entirely to broadcast a 40-year-old translated Spanish comedy about a nostalgic housewife.
I mean, the modern algorithm would just absolutely never allow it.
It would break the system. The marketing department would have a collective panic attack.
Oh, heads would roll, for sure.
But, on a Saturday night in 1966, the British Broadcasting Corporation did exactly that.
Which is wild. It sounds completely antithetical to how we understand audience engagement today, honestly.
It really does.
Like, you look at that decision through a modern lens, and it just seems like programming suicide.
Yeah, totally.
But for the millions of people tuning into the BBC on April 23rd, 1966, this wasn't some weird anomaly. It was an institution.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. So come on in, out of the cold.
Find yourself a comfortable chair.
Right here by the fire. We are broadcasting to you from the common room at the little station on Commercial Street in Atchison, Kansas. And this is Chesterton Radio.
Welcome.
Today's stack of sources is, it's fragile, it's intimate, and it is entirely fascinating.
It really is a unique collection.
I am looking at a mostly forgotten 1966 BBC audio reel, a pretty dusty 1927 book of translated plays, and some theatrical archives from New York City that date back to 1929.
And at the center of this whole archival web is just this single, really obscure title.
Right, The Lady from Alfaqueque.
Which is quite a title.
It is, and our mission for this deep dive today is to figure out, what exactly is Alfaqueque?
Yes.
And how did this highly localized Spanish comedy jump across oceans and decades? And ultimately, what does it reveal about this lost era of broadcasting?
Well, to do that justice, I think we have to rebuild the world that even allowed a play like this to thrive on a Saturday night in the first place.
Right, I have to set the stage.
Exactly. We have to look at the mechanics of radio drama, what they called the theater of the mind, and really trace the journey of the playwrights.
The Quintero brothers.
Right, the Quintero brothers. We have to follow them from Andalusia to Broadway and eventually to that BBC recording studio.
And if we look closely enough at the, frankly, absurdly charming plot of this play, we find something much deeper.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost this philosophical defense of looking utterly ridiculous in the name of love.
I love that. So I want to start by tearing into these BBC broadcast logs from the 1960s.
Let's do it.
Because the sheer scale of Saturday night theater is staggering. I mean, if you are listening to this and you've grown up in the era of hyper-niche, on-demand content, it is genuinely difficult to conceptualize the cultural footprint of this program.
Oh, it's almost impossible to compare it to anything we have today.
Right. This wasn't some late-night broadcast for a handful of theater academics.
Far from it. This was the default weekend entertainment for millions and millions of British households.
Just massive viewership. Or, well, listenership.
Listenership, yeah. The BBC had this core mandate to inform, educate, and entertain.
Right. The Holy Trinity broadcasting back then.
Exactly. And they took that educate and entertain intersection very seriously.
They really did.
When you review the logs provided in our sources, the variety is what really jumps out at you.
Yeah, read off some of those titles.
Okay, so one week, the audience is plunged into a gritty Welsh mining town with The Corn is Green.
Okay, heavy stuff.
Right. And then the next week, they are visiting the fictional Grover's Corners in the American classic Our Town.
A total tonal shift.
Completely. And then they'd pivot to heavy historical dramas like A Man for All Seasons.
Oh, wow.
And then suddenly, boom, they drop in a tense Agatha Christie thriller or The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Okay, but hold on. Let me push back on that a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
Because looking at that list, those are heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Agatha Christie, Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Miller.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are guaranteed audience pleasers. I mean, they are massive names.
They are.
So tucking The Lady from Alfaqueque into that specific lineup, it almost feels like sneaking vegetables into a kid's macaroni and cheese.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, did the British public actually demand this kind of whiplash variety? Or was this a case of the BBC elites deciding it was their civic duty to elevate the public palate with obscure European comedies?
It is a phenomenal question, and the answer really leans heavily into the broadcaster's philosophy of the time.
Okay, what was that?
It was often referred to as Reithian values, named after Lord Reith, who was the BBC's founder.
Right, Lord Reith.
The broadcasters absolutely viewed themselves as cultural stewards. They believed that if you provided people with high-quality art from really diverse sources, the audience would rise to meet it.
So it was a conscious effort to challenge them.
Yes. But, and this is crucial, they didn't do it with condescension.
Really? It wasn't like a lecture.
No, not at all. They placed an immense amount of trust in the audience's attention span and their imagination.
Okay, so you're talking about the mechanics of radio itself, the demand it places on the listener.
Precisely. Because radio drama is inherently collaborative.
How so?
Well, the BBC sound engineers can give you the sound of a door opening, right? Or a gust of wind and a woman's voice.
Sure.
But the listener has to build the door.
Oh, I see.
The listener has to actually feel the wind. They have to cast the face of the actor in their mind's eye.
They're doing half the work.
Exactly. Millions of people would turn on the radio at 8:30 p.m., entirely blind to the visual aesthetics of the play, and just trust the network to guide them through an auditory landscape.
It is the ultimate active medium.
It really is.
You cannot just have a complex radio play on in the background while you're scrolling on a smartphone or washing dishes.
Well, maybe washing dishes, but...
Yeah, but not if you want to actually follow the emotional arcs, right?
True. You have to be engaged.
And this vast library of radio drama kept works alive that would have otherwise completely vanished.
Absolutely.
Which perfectly bridges us to the transatlantic cross-cultural leap of The Lady from Alfaqueque.
Yes. Let's talk about that journey.
Because how does a play written by two Spanish brothers in the early 1900s end up occupying prime real estate on British radio in 1966?
Well, we have to look at the genesis of the play first.
Okay, where does it start?
According to the 1927 publication data in our sources, there's this book simply titled Four Plays.
Just 4 plays. Classic.
Yeah, straight to the point. And this story was birthed by Serafín and Joaquín Álvarez Quintero.
Quintero brothers.
Right. And these brothers were absolute titans of Spanish theater. I mean, they wrote over 200 plays together.
200. That is a staggering output.
It really is. Serafín lived from 1871 to 1938, and Joaquín from 1873 to 1944. And they were born in Andalusia, way down in the deep south of Spain.
Now, Andalusia is culturally distinct, isn't it? Like, even today, it has a very specific identity within Spain.
Oh, incredibly distinct. Andalusia is the region of flamenco, of bullfighting, of intense heat and deep, deep agricultural roots.
Right.
The Quintero brothers made a very conscious artistic choice to root their work deeply in the specific flavors, dialects, and social attitudes of that exact region.
So they weren't trying to write for a global audience necessarily?
Not at all. They were champions of the sainet, which is a type of short comedic Spanish play that really celebrated the idiosyncrasies of provincial life.
Okay, so it's very local.
Very. Their work was the complete antithesis of the cosmopolitan, urbane dramas that were coming out of Madrid or Paris at the time.
So they are writing these highly localized, dialect-heavy comedies about southern Spain.
Yep.
That makes the international lead even more baffling.
I know, right?
I mean, I understand how Shakespeare or Chekhov translates. They're dealing with these grand, sweeping themes of madness and societal collapse.
Sure, kings and queens and revolutions.
Exactly. But a comedy relying on the specific quirks of Andalusian small-town life. How does that even survive translation?
Well, it survives partly because of the translators.
Okay, who were they?
Helen and Harley Granville Barker. And they were just incredibly skilled at capturing the spirit of a text rather than just the literal word-for-word translation.
Right, because a literal translation of a joke usually kills the joke.
Exactly. But more importantly, it survives because the core psychological engine of the play is just so universal.
Well, let me stop you there.
Okay.
Because before we even get to the psychology of the characters, we really need to talk about the physical journey this play took.
Oh, the New York connection.
Yes. The Granville Barkers translate it. It gets published in 1927. But it doesn't just sit in the university library collecting dust.
No, it certainly doesn't.
The theatrical archives from our sources show that by May of 1929, this play is on stage in New York City.
Yes.
And not just any stage. It is part of the Civic Repertory season, starring Eva Le Gallienne.
We really have to contextualize what the Civic Repertory Theater was in 1929.
Yeah, explain that for someone who might not know.
Oh, if you are unfamiliar with the concept, a repertory theater doesn't just run one play into the ground for 6 months and then switch to another.
Like a modern Broadway run.
Right. They rehearse the repertoire, a whole collection of several plays, and they rotate them.
Night by night.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
You might see a tragedy on Tuesday, a comedy on Wednesday, and a historical epic on Thursday.
Wow.
All performed by the exact same core company of actors.
That sounds exhausting for the actors.
Oh, I'm sure it was grueling. But it was brilliant for the cultural landscape of the city.
Definitely.
Eva Le Gallienne actually founded this company with the explicit goal of providing high-quality, intellectually rigorous theater to the masses at low ticket prices.
So she was trying to democratize theater, essentially.
Exactly. She wanted to break the commercial stranglehold that Broadway had at the time.
And she chose the lady from Alfaqueque to be part of this incredibly prestigious lineup.
She did. And the visual proof of this in our sources is just stunning.
Oh, the drawing.
Yes. There is a drawing from the Al Hirschfeld Foundation archives.
Now, if you don't know Al Hirschfeld, he was the legendary theatrical caricaturist.
Right. If you were drawn by him, you had officially arrived in American theater.
You made it.
Exactly. So on May 12, 1929, the New York Herald Tribune published his drawing immortalizing the Civic Repertory Company.
And who was in the drawing?
Well, you have productions of Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard, Ibsen's Hedda Gabler, and J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan.
Huge classics.
Right. And right there, sharing visual space with those giants of world literature, is the lady from Alfaqueque.
It is literally rubbing shoulders with the absolute giant.
It really is.
Which forces the question. If the BBC banked on universal human quirks to bridge the gap between 1920s Spain and 1960s Britain, we have to look at how the Quintero brothers actually weaponize those quirks on the page.
Let's do it.
And they do it by creating a protagonist whose entire worldview is dictated by extreme, unyielding nostalgia.
Nostalgia really is the true protagonist of this play.
It's a driving force.
It is. The plot centers entirely on Fernandita.
Okay, tell us about Fernandita.
So she is a woman who lives in the bustling cosmopolitan capital of Madrid with her husband, Don Pascual.
Okay.
But while her physical body is in Madrid, her heart, her soul, and especially her finances are exclusively dedicated to her hometown in Andalusia.
Alfaqueque.
Exactly. Alfaqueque.
Now, Don Pascual is just a fantastic character.
He really is. He's great.
He is this grounded, kind of a cynical foil to Fernandita's romanticism.
Yeah, he provides the reality check.
He does. He refers to their Madrid home as the Alfaqueque legation, treating it like it's a foreign embassy.
I love that detail.
And he jokingly calls Fernandita the minister of credit.
Which she absolutely is.
Because she operates a literal open-door policy.
Mm-hmm.
If you can prove you are from Alfaqueque, Fernandita will give you a meal, a bed, and likely a loan that she never, ever expects to be repaid.
The contrast between the two of them is just a classic comedic structure.
The dreamer and the pragmatist.
Right, but the Quintero brothers elevate it through the specific sensory details of the script.
Yeah, the way she talks about the town.
Fernandita doesn't just miss her hometown. She has completely mythologized it.
Oh, absolutely.
She claims, without a single hint of irony, that heaven must look exactly like Alfaqueque.
The way she talks about the food and the water is hilarious. There's that scene where she is waxing poetic about the ice-cold well water and the lemons.
Yes.
She and a visitor from the town are rhapsodizing about the local honey cakes.
Oh, the spice cake story.
Yes. The visitor casually mentions that he once ate 67 spice cakes to win a wager.
67.
And he got so hot inside he thought he would literally burst into flame.
It is such an absurd image, a man spontaneously combusting from provincial pastries.
It really is.
But it perfectly illustrates the mechanism of nostalgia. I mean, nostalgia literally means the pain of returning home.
Right.
But over time, the brain just filters out all the negative stuff and heavily amplifies the positive.
So the water is colder, the lemons are sweeter.
The people are kinder.
Oh.
Fernandita has built a psychological sanctuary out of these amplified memories.
Just to protect herself from Madrid.
Exactly, to shield herself from the exhaustion of modern life in the big city.
And she populates that sanctuary with expatriates.
She does.
She has essentially surrounded herself with parasites who just feed off her generosity.
Yeah, let's talk about the hangers-on.
Right. So there is adoration. She is a woman who used to be wealthy, complete with a carriage and horses back in Alfaqueque.
Right, she was high status.
But she lost everything and now survives by making traditional sweets and selling them.
Mostly to Fernandita.
Mostly to Fernandita, yes.
Adoration is such a brilliant character study in clinging to status. She has lost all her wealth, but she absolutely refuses to lose her aristocratic bearing.
She still acts like she has the carriage.
Totally. By making sweets specifically from their hometown, she monetizes Fernandita's nostalgia while somehow maintaining this veneer of dignity.
It's a clever survival tactic.
It really is. And then you have Nobleyes, who is this painfully polite clerk.
Oh, Don Pasquale has a great line about Nobleyes. He says, the man is so excessively polite, he probably asked the priest to take the chill off the water before he was baptized.
That is perfect. That tells you everything you need to know about how Nobleyes moves through the world.
He apologizes for existing.
Right. He is defensive through deference. And his daughter, Paloma, does embroidery. And they are both heavily reliant on Fernandita's patronage.
But the emotional core of Fernandita's charity is a young woman named Blanca.
Yes, Blanca's storyline is quite different.
Blanca's situation is genuinely dark for a comedy. Fernandita brought Blanca to Madrid to live with them specifically to rescue her from a brutal, abusive stepfather back in Alfaqueque.
It's a very serious undertone.
It is. Fernandita is acting as a surrogate mother, housing Blanca until her wedding in January.
But the problem is the fiancé is a total nightmare.
Nicholas,
whom everyone refers to behind his back as the porcupine.
the nickname is well-earned.
Oh, completely.
There is a deeply uncomfortable scene in the script where Blanca and Nicholas are arguing. Blanca confesses that her deepest dream has always been to have children.
And Nicholas just flatly rejects this.
He is awful about it. He calls children little nuisances that tie you down.
Us.
He actually tells Blanca she will just end up looking like a sack of potatoes like her mother.
The casual cruelty of Nicholas really highlights the tragedy of Blanca's situation. I mean, she only agreed to marry him to escape the physical abuse of her stepfather.
So she is just trading one tyrant for another.
Exactly. She's sacrificing her own desires just for basic safety.
Now, this brings me to a major point of contention I had while reviewing these sources.
Okay, let's hear it.
I really want you to weigh in on this. We have this household in Madrid, funded by Don Pasquale, managed by Fernandita, and utterly overrun by people exploiting her nostalgia.
Right.
Blanca is marching toward a miserable marriage. Adoration is draining the grocery budget. Is Fernandita actually naive?
The big question.
Like, is she just a gullible fool who refuses to see reality? Or is she consciously paying a tax to maintain this illusion?
I would strongly argue it is the latter.
Really? You think she knows?
I do. I think Fernandita possesses a very high degree of emotional intelligence.
Okay, explain that.
She is fully aware that Madrid is gray, exhausting, and unforgiving. Alfaqueque, or at least the version of it she maintains in her drawing room, represents innocence and warmth.
Sure.
She knows these people are flawed. She's not stupid. But by funding Adoration's sweets and housing Blanca, she is actively purchasing her ticket back to that psychological sanctuary.
But wait, I have to challenge that.
Go for it.
Because if it's a conscious choice, isn't that just a romantic way of saying she is in deep destructive denial?
Well,
I mean, at what point does a beautiful illusion cross the line into reckless foolishness?
that's a fair point.
She is letting her husband's bank account be drained by obvious grifters. And more importantly, she is passively watching Blanca walk into a life of emotional abuse with Nicholas.
Yeah.
If her love for Alfaqueque blinds her to the suffering happening right in her own living room, her sanctuary is toxic.
And that is the exact tension the Quintero brothers are exploiting.
They want us to feel that frustration.
Absolutely. You have hit on the central vulnerability of the play. Fernandita's sanctuary is stagnant. It's safe, but it's frozen.
Right.
It actually requires an external shock to the system to expose the rot.
I see.
Her open-door policy for anyone from Alfaqueque creates the perfect security flaw.
The back door into the system.
Exactly. All it takes is one person who understands the password to walk in and completely dismantle the ecosystem.
Enter Felipe.
Enter Felipe, also known as Raylito.
The catalyst.
He is the chaotic, neutral force of this universe.
Chaotic is the right word. If you are listening to this on your commute, and you've ever dealt with a charismatic narcissist who somehow charms their way out of every single consequence.
You will recognize Felipe instantly.
Instantly. He first arrives at the house supposedly looking for a job.
Supposedly.
But he doesn't bring a resume. He doesn't provide references.
Yeah.
He proves his Alfaqueque credentials through sheer sensory manipulation.
It's brilliant. He just bypasses Don Pasquale's logic entirely and goes straight for Fernandita's emotional hard drive.
He really does.
He sits down with her and starts reciting the specific, musical street cries of the local vendors from their childhood.
It's masterful manipulation. They are sitting there reminiscing about the cherry seller.
Right.
They talk about the old man who used to cry out, "Sweet melons."
And then Felipe brings up the vendor, calling out, "White jasmine? In my snow, the jasmine is falling."
Just pure auditory poetry. He recreates the exact soundscape of her childhood.
And Fernandita's critical faculties just completely shut down. She is enchanted.
He hacks the mainframe.
He establishes absolute trust by mirroring her deepest love right back to her.
And once he has that trust, he executes a truly audacious scam.
The audacity is off the charts.
Later that night, after he has seemingly departed, he bursts back into the Madrid house in a state of manufactured panic.
Oh, it's so dramatic.
He claims he is fleeing some mysterious, unnamed political persecution.
Right, because of course he is.
Don Pascual, who has not been hypnotized by jasmine vendors, immediately starts interrogating him.
As he should.
He demands details. Who is chasing you? What are your actual politics?
And Felipe realizes very quickly he is losing the intellectual argument.
So what does he do? He spectacularly, miraculously faints dead away on the floor.
And this is where we have to talk about why this play was such a massive success on the radio in 1966.
Right, the medium itself.
Because on a traditional stage, physical comedy like a man fake fainting can be funny, but it is limited by the physical reality of the actor on the floor.
It's just a guy lying there.
Exactly. On the radio, auditory comedy forces the listener's imagination to do all the heavy lifting, which makes the chaos infinitely more potent.
We don't see him fall.
No.
What we hear is the absolute, unmitigated chaos of the household reacting to the fall.
The sound design must have been incredible.
The script just becomes this frantic symphony of panic. Fernandita is screaming for water. The maids, Alberta and Rosita, are running around praying to the Mother of God.
They are convinced a political refugee is dying on their rug. The contrast of the audio is what makes it brilliant. You have this high-pitched, hysterical noise of the women trying to revive him, punctuated by the dry, cynical resignation of Don Pascual.
Because Don Pascual knows.
He knows with absolute certainty that this man is faking it.
But you cannot interrogate an unconscious man.
No, you cannot. Felipe's feint effectively neutralizes all logic in the room.
We hear the sloshing of water, the exaggerated gasps for air as Felipe, quote-unquote, comes to.
Right, his miraculous recovery.
And by the time he actually opens his eyes, the trap is sprung.
It's over.
Fernandita has already decreed that the poor, persecuted boy from Alfaqueque will be staying in their spare room indefinitely.
The virus is inside the computer.
That analogy of a computer virus is so perfect.
Yeah, because he enters the system, but he doesn't steal the bank passwords or wipe the hard drive.
Right.
He just scrambles everyone's desktop backgrounds.
Yeah.
He creates a highly specific, productive kind of chaos.
Because while he is supposedly hiding from the law...
Which is really just hiding from the necessity of getting a real job.
Exactly. He begins aggressively meddling in the lives of every single person in that house.
His audacity is just breathtaking.
It really is. He starts by flirting with the maid, Rosita. He fills her head with grand aristocratic delusions.
Oh, he tells her she has the hands of a duchess.
Which makes her completely useless at her actual job of cleaning the house.
Naturally. And then he sets his sights on Paloma, the excessively polite clerk's daughter.
Right, Nobleja's daughter.
The logistics of his romance with Paloma are just a wonderful snapshot of 1920s urban living.
They live in adjacent apartments, right?
Around a shared courtyard, yes. So Felipe begins wooing her across the roof lines.
The script notes that he sends her 3 consecutive letters by clipping them to the clothesline and reeling them across the courtyard.
It is wildly romantic, totally impractical, and deeply compromising for a respectable girl of that era.
Oh, completely compromising. When her father, Noblejas, finds out, the poor man is forced to confront Fernandita.
And he hates confrontation.
He is trying to demand that this rogue stop ruining his daughter's reputation. But he's so trapped by his own excessive politeness that he can barely get the accusation out of his mouth.
Felipe is breaking all the social rules that these characters use to protect themselves.
He just ignores the social contract.
Exactly. Noblejas uses politeness. Felipe ignores it. Adoration uses quiet dignity. Felipe mocks it. But the most significant intervention he makes is with Blanca.
Yes. This is where Felipe shifts from a purely comedic nuisance to a genuinely disruptive force for good.
It's a surprising pivot.
His interactions with Blanca aren't just the frivolous flirting he uses on the maid. He actually pays attention to her.
He observes the dynamic.
He listens to the way Nicholas the porcupine speaks to her.
And Felipe, for all his narcissistic flaws, is highly perceptive.
He reads people very well.
He correctly diagnoses the exact nature of Blanca's misery. He sees that she is a young woman trapped by trauma, basically seeking safety over love.
So what does he do?
He provides her with the emotional validation she has been starved of. He tells her she is worthy of being cherished, not just tolerated by a man who thinks children are nuisances.
He essentially gives her the psychological permission she needs to just blow up her own life.
And she does.
Blanca writes a dramatic letter breaking off the engagement and literally sneaks out of the house.
Good for her.
Nicholas comes over raging, screaming at Don Pascual and Fernandita, demanding to know what happened.
So Felipe solves Blanca's core problem. He saves her from a life of misery.
Right.
But in doing so, he creates an absolute diplomatic nightmare for his hosts.
The wobbling house of cards is finally collapsing.
It has to fall.
He's promised the world to a maid, compromised a clerk's daughter,
Yeah.
ruined a marriage arrangement, and is just eating Don Pascual out of house and home.
And the mechanism of his final undoing is the most potent weapon in any tight-knit social circle.
Gossip.
Gossip. Enter Adoration, the sweets maker, just brimming with tea to spill.
Oh, she is ready. Adoration arrives for a visit wearing that classic mask of faux concern.
Oh, I'm just so worried. Let me tell you this story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She tells Fernandita a quote-unquote very funny story circulating around Madrid about a mysterious, handsome young gentleman from Alfaqueque.
Uh-oh.
This gentleman burst into her friend's home late one night, claiming to be persecuted by the government.
The exact same playbook.
He spectacularly fainted to gain sympathy, was given a bed, and ended up staying for an entire month, living rent-free and wooing every single woman in the building.
You can feel the realization dawning on Fernandita in real time.
Must have been crushing.
It is the exact same scam. He ran the fainting refugee bit on Adoration's friend, and when that well ran dry, he literally just walked across town and ran it on Fernandita.
He isn't a political dissident at all.
Not even close. He is a broke, aggressively lazy poet who refuses to get a real job.
It explains so much of his bizarre behavior, doesn't it?
It really does. He referred to his poems as his children,
Oh, that's right.
which explains all his emotional pleas to protect his family.
His family of poems.
Yes. And he has been charging expensive gifts for his hosts directly to Don Pascual's accounts.
He's buying them gifts with their own money.
It is wild.
It is the ultimate betrayal for Fernandita, not just because he lied about his identity, but because he weaponized her sacred duty to her hometown.
He used her sanctuary against her.
He took the purest thing in her life, her nostalgia for Alfaqueque, and used it as a lockpick to rob her of her dignity.
And when she confronts him, it is a scene of genuine heartbreak. She is furious.
As she should be.
She calls him a scoundrel, an imposter. She tells him he has made a complete mockery of everything dear to her.
This confrontation is the climax of the play, and Felipe's reaction is deeply revealing.
He doesn't cower.
No, he doesn't beg for forgiveness at all.
He launches into this bold, highly manipulative, and frankly, philosophically fascinating defense.
He tells her point blank, "I have never betrayed or deceived a woman in my life. I teach them what love is."
Wow. It is the defense of the eternal romantic who entirely separates emotional truth from factual truth.
Fact versus feeling.
Exactly. To Felipe, the fact that he lied about his name, his politics, and his bank account is just irrelevant trivia.
It doesn't matter to him.
Right. He argues that his function is to act as a mirror for these women's repressed dreams.
So he sees himself as providing a service.
Yes, he gave Paloma the grand romance she read about but never experienced.
Right.
He gave Rosita the illusion of importance. And he gave Blanca the courage to demand actual love.
It is incredibly narcissistic.
Oh, deeply.
He views himself not as a con artist, but as a reverse muse. He wanders through life, allowing people to project their desires onto him, leaving absolute chaos in his wake, but claiming he has enriched their lives.
It's a heck of a defense.
But Fernandita is entirely unmoved by this philosophical tap dance.
Good for her.
She tells him to pack his bags and get out of her house right now before she has Don Pascual physically throw him into the street.
And that is when Felipe plays his masterstroke.
The final card.
He realizes logic won't work, apologies won't work, and philosophical defenses won't work.
So what does he do?
So he reaches for the one weapon against which Fernandita has absolutely zero defense.
Oh, this is so good.
He tells her that during all those weeks, hiding in her spare room, eating her food, and sleeping in her bed, he has been writing a poem
Oh boy.
And the subject of the poem is Alfaqueque.
It is so calculated. He stands right there in the drawing room and begins reciting the opening lines.
And the language of the script here is lush. It's melancholic.
He describes the crumbling castles of their childhood. He evokes the sleeping rivers, the specific flowers growing near the bank, the ancestral homes.
He paints this breathtakingly romantic picture of the town they both love, validating all of Fernandita's nostalgia in one swoop.
And he ends the recitation with the line, "Mid all the stars I see, but one star, the lady from Alfaqueque."
You can practically hear the anger just draining out of the room.
He takes her irrational, foolish love for this town and elevates it into high art.
He immortalizes her and her sanctuary in verse.
This brings up the massive question that underpins the entire resolution of the play.
Okay, what is it?
Does Fernandita actually believe him?
Ah.
When she decides not to throw him out, does she truly think he is a reformed man? Or is this a cold, calculated transaction?
Like she's buying the poem.
Exactly. Does she decide that having a beautiful, immortalizing poem written about her home is worth the price of being scammed?
The ambiguity is exactly what makes the Quintero brothers brilliant. The play doesn't give you a definitive answer either way.
It lets the audience decide.
Right. But if we track Fernandita's emotional intelligence throughout the story, like we talked about earlier, I really believe it is a transaction.
You think she knows she's still being played?
She knows exactly what he is. She knows he will likely scam someone else next month.
Right.
But the poem is real. The art is tangible. The emotion the poem evokes in her heart is genuine.
Oh, she makes the trade?
She's willing to pardon the sins of the artist because the art he produced justifies the emotional sanctuary she has built. She trades her righteous indignation for a piece of eternal beauty.
She is buying the poem with her forgiveness.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the deeper philosophical core of this entire broadcast. This is the theme that really resonates with the ethos of the common room.
It's this profound idea about the relationship between love and foolishness.
Fernandita's fierce, unwavering attachment to a particular place makes her an incredibly easy mark.
It makes her look utterly foolish to her cynical husband.
It makes her look ridiculous to her gossiping friends.
And frankly, for the first 2 acts of the play, it makes her look foolish to us, the audience.
True. We see the scam coming from a mile away, and we kind of laugh at how easily she falls for it.
But by the end, the play stops laughing at her and starts celebrating her.
There's a deeply Chestertonian idea at the heart of this Spanish comedy. The things human beings love most deeply can sometimes make us look entirely ridiculous, and perhaps that is exactly what makes them beautiful.
If you want to live a life where you are never taken advantage of, where you never look foolish, the blueprint is simple.
You build walls?
You build walls, you cultivate deep cynicism, you remain guarded, detached, and ironically distant from everything.
Don Pasquale operates this way.
Nicholas the Porcupine operates this way.
But look at what Fernandita's quote-unquote foolishness actually accomplishes.
Right, look at the results.
Her irrational, easily exploited love is the engine of grace in the entire play.
Her foolish sanctuary saves Blanca from a lifetime of abuse.
Her foolish generosity allows adoration to survive with dignity.
And her foolish nostalgia provides a rogue poet with the one safe harbor he needed to actually write something beautiful instead of just grifting his way through Madrid cafes.
It completely reframes the concept of vulnerability.
It really does. And if we connect this back to where he started, that 1966 BBC Saturday Night Theater slot, it forces you to reflect on the disappearance of these specific types of gentle comedies from primetime media.
It really does,
Yeah.
because today's media landscape demands high stakes and deep cynicism.
Always.
If a show isn't dealing with murder, political corruption, or dark anti-heroes, it really struggles to find a mainstream audience.
We are culturally terrified of being perceived as sentimental.
We want everyone to be in on the joke.
We prioritize being clever over being kind. But the lady from Alphatech champions something that feels almost revolutionary today.
What is that?
It champions the quiet, ordinary, and slightly absurd virtues of generosity, misplaced trust, and local patriotism.
It argues that there is profound value in loving something so much that you willingly let it make a fool of you.
And that is why this fragile, dusty audio reel from 1966 acts as such a magical doorway for us today.
It transports us back to a 1920s Spanish vision of a sun-drenched Andalusian town.
A place where the jasmine is always falling, The well water is always cold, and the doors are always open.
Even if keeping them open means letting in a few charming rogues along the way.
It is a time capsule of a moment when mainstream primetime culture carved out massive space simply to celebrate gentleness.
It serves as a beautiful reminder that the theater of the mind isn't just a technical exercise in imagining sound effects.
No, it is an exercise in empathy.
It is the practice of allowing ourselves to be moved by the simple, the gentle, and the deeply, ridiculously human.
Well said.
As we wrap up our time together here by the fire in the common room, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over on your own.
Something to take with you.
We spend so much of our daily lives desperately trying not to look like fools. We build up psychological armor. We cultivate a sharp, protective cynicism.
We pride ourselves on refusing to be scammed, on seeing through the illusions of others.
But imagine for a second that you stripped all of that away.
Just let it go.
If you stripped away everything you love that made you look a little ridiculous to the outside world, what would actually be left?
If you removed the irrational attachments, the fierce loyalties, the nostalgic blind spots,
Would you still have a sanctuary? Would you still have your own Alfaqueque? Chesterton radio stories, ideas, wonder. The open door is always on.